The novel I Don't Know How She Does It by Alison Pearson is about Kate Reddy, a woman with a high-powered career in finance who struggles to balance this with marriage and motherhood. It's one of my favorite books, and it highlights the pressures that feminism has put women under. I would class this book as pro-female but non-feminist. I've always made this very clear. I am not against women having or pursuing careers. I'm anti-feminist but not anti-career. Suzanne Venker, a conservative anti-feminist writer, has said the same thing. Being against feminism doesn't mean saying that women can't have careers. It means rejecting an ideology filled with misandry, victimhood, and unrealistic expectations placed on women. My name is Zarina Matcha, and you're watching The Rational Female. If you enjoy my content, give the video a like and subscribe to my channel. Since I was a child, I've always wanted to be an author, and I also wanted to be a musical performer. I went to a music academy for university in Guildford called the Academy of Contemporary Music. I had a band, played gigs, and recorded an EP. I had to stop because of my panic disorder and because it was difficult to balance writing books with music. I would like to return to playing music one day, but right now I simply don't have the time to do everything. My main focus now is this YouTube channel and my writing. I've self-published 21 books of fiction and poetry, but fiction is my main love. I'm currently working on a young adult horror novel that I want to pitch to literary agents next year in 2027. I would really like to become a traditionally published author someday. I am not someone who believes that women can't have careers. However, being extremely ambitious is a masculine trait. High ambition is statistically more common in men, which is one reason we see more male CEOs and men in top positions of power. What I'm interested in is the arts, and most people are not artists. The arts are incredibly difficult to succeed in, and the majority of people pursuing a life in the arts never become wildly successful. That's something that I've had to accept as I've gotten older. Statistically, women tend to be more interested in having a family and a stable marriage than building a career. Most women are also less interested in politics than men and historically have been more family-focused. Feminists often claim that women were historically barred from working outside the home, but that simply isn't true. Working-class women worked because they had to. Industries that were traditionally female-oriented include nursing, textiles, education, and, interestingly, the arts. There have been countless female singers, authors, and actresses, yet feminism rarely talks about this. Culturally, we tend to celebrate the sciences far more than the arts, which is odd considering women gravitate more towards arts and humanities. Very subtle misogyny there, feminists. Arts requires empathy, creativity, and sensitivity rather than purely analytical thinking. Feminists constantly push for more women in STEM, yet we rarely hear them celebrate the long history of successful female artists, writers, and performers. One of the many things I find strange about feminism is this contradiction. Feminism emerged as a movement that aimed to challenge what it described as a male-dominated capitalist patriarchy. Marx and Engels wanted to abolish capitalism, and feminist theory borrowed heavily from Marxist ideas. Yet capitalism is built around encouraging people to work and make money. Post-second wave feminism began associating having a job with being liberated, while ignoring the fact that many women had always worked, and many women were also perfectly happy being housewives. How does this make any sense? Men don't work because they find work liberating. They work because they need to provide for themselves and their families. Historically, workplaces after the Industrial Revolution were extremely harsh environments. Many women simply didn't want those jobs, and the women who did work often did so out of necessity. Women who became successful in certain fields, like Florence Nightingale, did so because of their individual merit, not because of feminism. Feminism is fundamentally a collectivist ideology. It encourages women to band together to dismantle the alleged patriarchy, rather than focusing on individual merit and personal responsibility. This is why feminists don't treat Margaret Thatcher as a feminist icon, despite the fact that she achieved enormous career success and reach the top of a male-dominated field. I don't support Thatcher's politics, but she was never a hypocrite. She openly identified as a conservative, and she never pretended to be anything else. Since the 1970s, women's happiness has been declining. Most women are not successful actresses, authors, or entrepreneurs doing work they feel passionate about. Most women work in offices doing similar jobs to men, which can be stressful. Many women reach their 30s and begin worrying about marriage and children. I've heard women talk about this repeatedly. Most women dream of love and family. Men and women simply have different priorities, and that's reflected in culture. That's why women are the largest consumers of romance novels. It reflects women's inherent desires. Another contradiction appears when feminists talk about sex work. Women who work as sex workers, Hooters waitresses, or adult performers are often looked down upon by feminists. Yet these women are making their own money and operating independently of men. Isn't that supposed to be empowerment? Many outspoken feminist celebrities have benefited enormously from capitalism. What exactly do Emma Watson, Michelle Obama, or Beyoncé know about economic oppression? All three of these women are extremely wealthy and powerful. The modern girl boss is supposed to represent female empowerment through career success, yet many feminists criticize the girl boss for being too capitalist. In reality, the girl boss is simply the logical outcome of liberal feminism, a financially independent woman. To understand these contradictions, we need to look at second-wave feminism and the split between radical feminism and liberal feminism. Radical feminism focused on dismantling the patriarchy. Liberal feminism focused on women achieving financial success and independence. Helen Gurley Brown popularized the idea of women having it all: career success, sexual freedom, and a husband. This is why modern feminism often appears so confusing. At its core, feminism claims to oppose the structures that allegedly oppress women, including capitalism. Yet feminism has relied heavily on capitalism to expand its influence by promoting careerism as empowerment. As mentioned earlier, women historically either worked out of necessity or because they were genuinely passionate about something. Here are some examples of successful non-feminist career women. Hedy Lamarr was an actress described as the most beautiful woman in Hollywood, who also invented a secret communication system using frequency hopping to guide Allied torpedoes during World War II. Her work later contributed to technologies like Bluetooth, GPS, and Wi-Fi. Grace Hopper was a computer scientist and US Navy Rear Admiral who pioneered computer programming and received the National Medal of Technology in 1991. Rosalind Franklin was a chemist and X-ray crystallographer who played a major role in discovering the structure of DNA. Ayn Rand was a philosopher and author who strongly rejected feminism and developed a philosophy called objectivism, which emphasized rational self-interest and individualism. Phyllis Schlafly was an attorney and political activist who strongly opposed second-wave feminism. She was married with 6 children, while also writing numerous books and building a major political career. There are many other women who have succeeded professionally and contributed greatly to society. However, these women are statistical outliers. 3 of the 5 women I mentioned never had children. I consider myself to be an outlier. I am deeply committed to pursuing a creative life. After going through some extremely serious mental health struggles, I've considered a future where I don't have children. I don't think I could dedicate myself fully to writing fiction and also raising children. I'm not sure I have the emotional capacity to be responsible for somebody else. Not all women have to become mothers. I would argue that some people actually shouldn't have kids because a lot of people are terrible parents. I think being a bad parent is much worse than not having children. I myself have very good parents, but a lot of people don't. Women who pursue serious career success usually do so through intense dedication and hard work. The average woman doesn't want that life. Most women want to be wives and mothers, and there is nothing wrong with that. I hate how feminism has made that a poor option for the majority of women. Personally, I know I would regret not becoming an accomplished author. but I don't think I would regret not becoming a mother. Creativity has kept me going through some extremely difficult periods in my life. It's actually the main reason why I have not unalived myself, which I've wanted to many times in my life. I'm very fortunate that I have something that keeps me going. I've grown up in a culture where women are encouraged to adopt this narcissistic victim mentality, while men are increasingly becoming feminized. I don't support misandry or hatred between others. I don't see myself as a victim despite my personal difficulties. I just try to get on with life, and I would encourage others to do the same. Women don't need feminism to make personal decisions. Whether you want a family, a career, or some combination of both, ultimately comes down to your own priorities. Most successful people, male or female, simply prioritize. They choose what matters most and accept the trade-offs. For me, that prioritization meant focusing on writing and YouTube rather than music. The idea of not having children actually makes me feel calm and relieved. I might change my mind someday, but I'm going to be 29 this year. That's still young in terms of career success and ambitions, but biologically it's not so young when it comes to starting a family. I know nowadays people are encouraged to have kids in their 30s, but there's a lot of evidence to support that it's better to have kids earlier than later. After 35, it becomes very tough for women to have healthy children. I've also never been in a serious, stable, long-term relationship, so I would need to get that sorted before I could even consider having children, and that could take years. Children need two parents, and I think that parents should prioritize their children, especially mothers. I wouldn't want to project my personal trauma onto a child. That's not selfish, it's honest. What I really want is simple, to spend the rest of my life writing books and playing guitar. For me, that would be a meaningful life.